No act of kindness is too small, and to some, it means everything. Each day, we have the opportunity to renew the fact that neighbors around us deserve happier, healthier lives. At the United Way, we help thousands of children, adults, and families journey through grief, poverty, and so many struggles. Journey with us for a few minutes. Learn about lives transformed by people like you.
My name is Andrea. I'm 24. I have 2 boys, a 5-year-old and a 4-month-old. Grew up in a really small town, and then I came to the city and things got complicated and I needed some help. Honestly, I was going through some pretty rocky times in my relationship, so I decided, it was best just we didn't live together, and was looking for options on getting help and stuff. I would go up to the library and use Wi-Fi, and I met the lady there and just kind of talked to her. I just asked her, if she knew of any places, and this was the place that she recommended. I didn't have the best experience at other shelters, and it kind of put me in a state of mind where, I didn't want to ever have to go through that again. It was a really hard thing for me to do, a big step for me to make. What's important is bettering myself for me and my children.
I met Andrea last year. She came in 5 months pregnant, and so we knew immediately we have to get her that support that she needs to be able to get housing and maintain housing. We work with United Way in SKILL, and that's where I work, which SKILL stands for Supporting Kids in Independent Living. The Point as well is funded by United Way, and we'll work with them from there so we can help them get out of the shelter and really start thriving on their own.
So I worked closely with Kendra. We would just make out a list of goals and talk them over one by one to tackle everything together, and became a lot more comfortable going forward after that.
So we really started working through looking at different apartments, talking about budgeting, talking about income. We happened to find an apartment complex who was willing to work with us. We worked with the housing and property manager and just explained to them, what Pivot does for the community, and they were super willing to work with us.
I struggled a lot with codependency. It made it to where I didn't have that much self-respect. So I just kind of wanted to change that to where I could see myself in a different light so other people could see it too.
It's super exciting just to see how much she's grown from the time I've met her until today, and just see how much she's accomplished. I remember when she had pain, she sent me pictures, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a baby.
My new son, Payne, he's 4 months old. He's just a really happy baby, and he loves his mom, so. You could be at your absolute worst, rock bottom, but at the end of the day, if you just keep pushing forward and know that you got a good support system and you have people that actually care about you and love you, and you can do it. Looking forward to new beginnings, I guess.
Mental Health Association Oklahoma is the state's premier boots-on-the-ground nonprofit whose expertise and work really exists at the intersection of homelessness and mental illness. We're fighting every day to promote mental health, prevent suicide, end homelessness, and transform the criminal justice system. So if you're someone who's struggling with depression, you might lose your job because you haven't been able to come to work. You were one rental payment away from eviction, and now you end up living in your car with your family. So we've got depression, we've got homelessness. Now let's say that you can't make your car payments and you lose your car. So you're on the streets and you need water, and you steal a bottle of water or two from a convenience store. Now all of a sudden you have criminal justice charges. So there's all kinds of places these issues come together, and we're the group that's really out there on the streets for those most in need. Wayfinder Grant from the United Way of Central Oklahoma is actually a new innovative grant for the United Way. The Wayfinder Grant is a competitive grant. It's kind of like the idea of a really friendly Shark Tank, where you have individuals who are competing with new ideas and things they would love the chance to do, but they just don't have the resources. We've been incredibly lucky to be the recipient of 2 Wayfinder grants. Our first grant we received in 2019, and it started Oklahoma City's very first street outreach team. Our street outreach team is that first line of boots on the ground, the folks who are going out to encampments, who are going out under bridges, who are talking to individuals we see on the street corner and making connections. But then in 2020, we received our second Wayfinder grant, and we got to begin Oklahoma City's only street medicine team. That team is our mobile medical intervention team. So the only 2 street medicine teams in the state of Oklahoma are operated by Mental Health Association Oklahoma, but they're actually some of the only street medicine teams in the United States. So recently at our national conference, they featured the work we're doing with street outreach. So we're connecting to other states that are asking us to provide expertise, tutelage, have them come visit and see what it is we're doing so that these best practices can spread to other states too. And watching individuals who are experiencing homelessness and struggling really respond to our staff is incredible. Not only do I love going out just because it's probably the most amazing part of what we do, but I take other people out. I make sure that other Oklahomans get to have this experience so they can really learn there is a solution to homelessness. And that's what I mean when I say boots on the ground that I'm really proud to be a part of.
Growing up, Denise and I could not have been more of the opposite. She was the wild child, and I was the calm, cool, collected, responsible one. When I received the phone call, it wasn't actually from Denise, it was from her boyfriend. And he was kind of antic on his side of the phone, telling me that Denise had been in a motorcycle accident and that I needed to come and that it was serious. I had been at the hospital for about 13 hours with my sister, and I was the only one in the room with her whenever they called the time of death. And when I closed the door, that's when it hit me that that's the last time that I will be around her when she has a heartbeat. And that's when the reality sinks in. When Denise died, I was a zombie, a walking zombie, for that whole week, planning her funeral, picking out the dress that she was going to be buried in. Bringing in her son, my nephew Zayden, into my home was a no-brainer. Everybody's lives changed. I mean, the lives of my 2 older children, they changed because now they've got a little bitty guy around. And Zayden's life has changed forever. So I felt like I was not only grieving the loss of my little sister, I was also grieving the loss of Zayden's mom for him. After Denise's accident, it was hard to lift my head off the pillow. You know, my kids, summertime, they want to get out, they want to go do things in our normal lives. I couldn't be the mom that they needed. So for 12 or 13 years, I had been giving to United Way, and I never even knew the different agencies that I was giving to. So I went and volunteered as a loaned executive for United Way of Central Oklahoma, and that's when I heard about Calm Waters, and that's when I thought, wait a minute, I remember when Calm Waters came to speak at a United Way rally, and I immediately called them. And I never felt more comfortable and more welcomed. People knew, people understood. And I even brought Zayden here for private counseling as well, because I don't know how a 4-year-old should grieve, and Calm Waters helped walk me through all of that. Zayden was great. He immediately took to the playroom where you can dress up and you could talk about your emotions. When you're going through something rough and you think, I don't want to go talk to somebody, or they're not going to be able to help me, they don't know my situation, you've got to find the place that does fit you. And I'm glad that I tried Calm Waters and their support groups, because if I wouldn't have, I can't imagine where I would be today.
Someone famously said, "When I was 5, my mother told me happiness was the key to life." At school, they asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, so I said, happy. They told me I didn't understand the assignment. I told them they didn't understand life. It's in your power, your act of generosity, to prove life is truly a gift and not a possession to hide away. Please help those who need hope and happiness so desperately.